Morning and progress.
Okay, so yeah, we are continuing on with the prophet Hosea this week. That's all we'll be in. So we're going to start at chapter 7, verse 11. But Hosea, keep in mind, he is prophesying at the end of the northern kingdom's time. Hosea has given their final, given them their final warnings. He's telling them what's going to happen. He's telling them there is hope at the end. Um, but this is something you have to go through. And keep in mind, Hosea is just the last in a long line of prophets to the north and south. They had Isaiah, we had Micah, we had Amos, Obadiah was even in there. In some cases, Obadiah gets moved around depending on who I think what time he prophesied in. And in Jonah, went through Jonah a little bit during this whole time frame. So Hosea prophesied during 4 different kings time frame, but keep in mind they weren't really long lived, so it's hard to judge just how effective his being a prophet to them was. So we will see a shift. Well, not with Hosea. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Next week. Next week. Yeah, we'll talk about this. So, anyway, let's go ahead. Let me share our screen here. We'll get going with Hosea. We're going to be in chapter 7, starting in verse 11. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I did. What's wrong there?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hosea chapter 7, verse 11. Ephraim has become like a dove, silly, without sense. They call upon Egypt, they go to Assyria. As they go, I will cast my net over them. I will bring them down like birds of the air. I will discipline them according to the report made to their assembly. Woe to them, for they have strayed from me. Destruction to them, for they have rebelled against me. I would redeem them, but they speak lies against me. This is God speaking through Hosea. They do not cry to me from the heart, but they wail upon their beds. They gash themselves for grain and wine. They rebel against me. It was I who trained and strengthened their arms, yet they plot evil against me. They turn to that which does not profit. They have become like a defective bow. So we get this idea starting off here of recognizing a problem versus acknowledging sin. The North knows that they've done something wrong, but they're not acknowledging it as a sin. We made some bad investment choices. So their officials shall fall by the sword because of the rage of their tongue. So much for their babbling in the land of Egypt. It's kind of a harsh statement there. Set the trumpet to your lips. One like a vulture is over the house of the Lord because they have broken my covenant and transgressed my law. Talking about Assyria. They cry to me, my God, we know you. Israel has spurned the good. The enemy shall pursue them. They made kings, but not through me. They set up princes, but without my knowledge. With their silver and gold, they made idols for their own destruction. Your calf is rejected, O Samaria. My anger burns against them. How long will they be incapable of innocence? Verse 5 there, your calf is rejected. That word rejected is the Hebrew word zana, which means stink. Your calf stinks. It is from Israel, an artisan made it. It is not God. The calf of Samaria shall be broken to pieces. For they sow the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. The standing grain has no heads. It shall yield no meal. If it were to yield, foreigners would devour. Israel is swallowed up. Now they are among the nations as a useless vessel. For they have gone up to Assyria, a wild ass wandering alone. You know what? That's a great analogy there. Ephraim has bargained for lovers, though they bargain with the nations. I will now gather them up. They shall soon writhe under the burden of kings and princes. When Ephraim multiplied altars to expiate sin, they became to him altars for sinning.
Why is it called Ephraim? What is the?
Ephraim is the largest land part of the northern kingdom of Israel. It takes up about 3/4 of the land. And so
it was not a tribe. So
it was one of the sons of Jacob.
That was all their land, and I guess they had.
Yeah, in this case, it's kind of like Judah representing the South,
Right.
even though Benjamin was part of it. Though I write for him the multitude of my instructions, they are regarded as a strange thing. Though they offer choice sacrifices, though they eat flesh, the Lord does not accept them. Now he will remember their iniquity and punish their sins. They shall return to Egypt. Israel has forgotten his maker and built palaces. And Judah has, you notice he's including Judah in here now. And Judah has multiplied fortified cities. So Judah is also guilty of pride at least a little bit. You know, they're being very at the moment, they are being very successful because of Hezekiah's reforms and his devotion to God. But no, Hezekiah's father was not, Ahaz, he was not very good either. When we talk about the number of kings, the north had no good kings. They had 19 kings, and none of them were said to be good. The southern kingdom had 20 kings, and only 8 of them, one of them, are said to be good. So Hezekiah certainly is one of the good kings, probably the best one, other than Josiah. Josiah, when we talk about good kings in the South, the three that are up there are, the 2 that are up there are Josiah and Hezekiah. So, okay. But I will send a fire upon his cities, and it shall devour his strongholds. Do not rejoice, O Israel. Do not exult as other nations do, for you have prostituted yourself, departing from your God. You have loved a prostitute's pay on all threshing floors. Threshing floor and wine vat shall not beat them, and the new wine shall fail them. They shall not remain in the land of the Lord, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and in Assyria they shall eat unclean food. Interesting, it said that they will return to Egypt. Remember what Assyria does. They conquer kingdoms and then they displace their people, their conquered people. They move them to different places. We don't know specifically that Assyria sent people, or relocated them to places in Egypt, but we do know Assyria conquered Egypt at some point. So we just don't know how the timing works out. We don't have any specifics that any Israelites settled in Egypt, other than when Judah is about to be conquered by Babylon. Jeremiah talks about there's 2 streams of thought specifically related to Jeremiah. One, that he escaped to Egypt with a group of people, or that he was killed. He wasn't allowed to see any of the rest of it. So there is at least some traditional thought that there was some Israelites that went back to Egypt, but it wasn't from the northern kingdom, it was the southern. They shall not pour drink offerings of wine to the Lord, and their sacrifices shall not please him. Such sacrifices shall be like mourners' bread. All of it, all who eat of it shall be defiled, for their bread shall be for their hunger only. It shall not come to the house of the Lord. What will you do on the day of appointed festival and on the day of the festival of the Lord? For even if they escape destruction, Egypt shall gather them. Memphis shall bury them. Nettles shall possess their precious things of silver. Thorns shall be in their tents. The days of punishment have come. The days of recompense have come. Israel will cry out. The prophet is a fool. The man of the spirit is mad. Because of your great iniquity, your hostility is great. The prophet is a sentinel for my God over Ephraim. Yet a hunter's snare is on all his ways, and hostility in the house of his God. They have deeply corrupted themselves, as in the days of Gibeon. You can read about that in Judges 19. That's one of the, I can't remember which judge. I want to say Gideon, but conquering Gibeon. He will remember their iniquity. He will punish their sins. Like grapes in the wilderness, I found Israel. Like the first fruit on the fig tree in its first season, I saw your ancestors. But they came to Baal Peor. You can read about that. And consecrated themselves to a thing of shame, and they became detestable like the thing they were. Ephraim's glory shall fly away like a bird. No birth, no pregnancy, no conception. Even if they bring up children, I will bereave them until no one is left. Woe to them indeed when I depart from them. Once I saw Ephraim as a young palm planted in a lovely meadow, but now Ephraim must lead out his children for slaughter. Give them, O Lord. What will you give? Yeah, I'll read them. Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breast. Okay. Yeah, that's horrible. Verse 14, we get this, there's a break in the Hebrew text. And so we get this thought that maybe the writer of Hosea he's on one train of thought, and then all of a sudden just bing, a light goes on, and his train of thought completely changes. So he's telling God, give them, O Lord. And who am I to tell God what to give? What will you give? Okay, so yeah. Every evil of theirs began at Gilgal. There I came to hate them because of their wickedness, of their deeds. I will drive them out of my house. I will love them no more. All their officials are rebels. Gilgal is, there's several Gilgals, but the one that we think is mostly referenced when we hear Gilgal is the one where Elijah and Elisha, they did a lot of their teaching and stuff, where Elijah trained the other prophets. They did a lot of that out at one particular Gilgal. But this one we're not for sure, because there I came to hate. It seems like it would be a different one for that. Ephraim is stricken, their root is dried up, they shall bear no fruit. Keep in mind Hosea's context here. When I say that, who is Hosea's wife? Gomer.
Yeah.
And who is she?
Prostitute.
You know?
Or we don't know before or after,
Mhm.
whatever.
Correct. And the children are children of prostitution. At least that's what scripture kind of indicates. So remember his context. He's using his own immediate family circumstances to analogize Israel's relationship with God. Okay. Even though they give birth, I will kill the cherished offspring of their womb, because they have not listened to him. My God will reject them. They shall become wanderers among the nations. Verse 10, chapter 10, sorry. Israel is a luxuriant vine that yields its fruit. The more his fruit increased, the more altars he built. As his country improved, he improved his pillars. Their heart is false. Now they must bear their guilt. The Lord will break down their altars, destroy their pillars. Verse 2 there, their heart is false. There are several different translations of that, depending on the translation in your Bible. They, the different translations of the Bible, but they all kind of mean the same thing. NRSV kind of just gets to the point of it. Their heart is false. But some of the others kind of there's more to it than just being a false heart. Israel's more like a smooth operator. Hey there, baby.
Sure day.
Right. They manipulate by this smooth.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, that's kind of the intonation. For now they will say, we have no king, for we do not fear the Lord and a king. What can he do for us? They utter mere words. When empty oaths, they make covenants. So litigation springs up like poisonous weeds in the furrows of the field. What does that sound? The inhabitants of Samaria tremble for the calf of Bethaven. Its people shall mourn for it, and its idolatrous priests shall wail over its glory that is departed from it. The thing itself shall be carried to Assyria as tribute to the great king. Ephraim shall be put to shame, and Israel shall be ashamed of his eye. Samaria's king shall perish like a chip on the face of the waters. The high places of Avon, the sin of Israel, shall be destroyed. By the way, Avon means bread. Bread, yeah. And Beth means house. So Beth Avon would be house. Thorn and thistle shall grow up on their altars. They shall say to the mountains, cover us, and to the hills, fall on us. Since the days of Gibeon, you have sinned, O Israel. There they have continued. Shall not war overtake them in Gibeon? We keep hearing Gibeon. That was in the Judges there. I think it was Judges 15. I will come against the wayward people to punish them, and nations shall be gathered against them when they are punished for their double iniquity. What was their double iniquity?
One was they had false gods, worshiping false gods.
Okay,
They built two bulls. They built two bulls, not just one. They built two. Ephraim was a trained heifer. Well, that's nice. That loved to thresh, and I spared her bare neck, but I will make Ephraim break the ground. Jacob must harrow for himself. Sow for yourselves righteousness, reap steadfast love, break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, that he may come and rain righteousness upon you. You have plowed wickedness, you have reaped injustice, you have eaten the fruit of lies, because you have trusted in your chariots, in the multitude of your warriors. Therefore the tumult of war shall rise against your people, and all your fortresses shall be destroyed. As Shalman destroyed Beth Arbel on the day of battle, when mothers were dashed in pieces with their children, thus it shall be done to you, O Bethel, because of your great wickedness. At dawn, the king of Israel shall be utterly cut off. Chapter 11. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. That is specifically referenced in Matthew chapter 1 to the birth of Jesus. We can take prophecy a lot of different ways. Usually there is, it's a twofold prophecy, a short term and a long term. Certainly the long term would be the birth, reference to the birth of Jesus, but the short term would be them going to exile and coming back out. The more I called them, the more they went from me. They kept sacrificing to the Baals and offering incense to idols. Yet it was I who taught Ephraim to walk. I took them up in my arms, but they did not know that I healed them. I led them with cords of human kindness, with bands of love. Now, I put this on this page particularly. It's nice that it broke where it did, because we get this comparison of leading your child in the right way versus the way they're going to be led out of Egypt, with cords that bind them and hooks and all these things. So I led them with cords of human kindness, with bands of love. I was to them like those who lift infants to their cheeks. I bent down to them and fed them. They shall return to the land of Egypt, and Assyria shall be their king, because they have refused to return to me. The sword rages in their cities. It consumes their oracle priests and devours because of their schemes. My people are bent on turning away from me. To the Most High they call, but he does not raise them up at all. How can I give you up, Ephraim? How can I hand you over, O Israel? How can I make you like Admah? How can I treat you like Zeboim? My heart recoils within me. My compassion grows warm and tender. I will not execute my fierce anger. Admah and Zeboim are two cities that were in the same general area as Sodom and Gomorrah. They kind of like were victims of being too close. Kind of like when a bomb drops on a city, well, there's innocents that get, so this is kind
collateral
of,
damage.
yeah, exactly. That's the word. Thank you. I'll be there in choir in a minute. We're on. I will not again destroy Ephraim, for I am God and no mortal, the Holy One in your midst, and I will not come in wrath. That's interesting, because our faith, depending on how far you take it out to eschatology, to the end times and things, we hear about the wrath of God at the end times. So don't take that for what it is. I will not come in wrath. They shall go after the Lord, who roars like a lion. When he roars, his children shall come trembling from the west. They shall come trembling like birds from Egypt, and like doves from the land of Assyria, and I will return them to their homes, says the Lord. Ephraim has surrounded me with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit, and Judah still walks with God and is faithful to the Holy One. For now. Ephraim herds the wind and pursues the east wind all day long. They multiply falsehood and violence. They make a treaty with Assyria. Oh, I'll go back real quick. Ephraim herds the wind and pursues the east wind all day long. Anybody know what that might be in a reference to? The east wind, they pursue the east wind.
Egypt?
Coming out of Egypt, the crossing of the Red Sea, what blew the waters apart was an east wind, a strong east wind. So they're pursuing that salvation all day long. Okay. They make a treaty. Oh, we're on chat. Yeah, we're in chat. They make a treaty with Assyria, and oil is carried to Egypt. The Lord has an indictment against Judah and will punish Jacob according to his ways and repay him according to his deeds. In the womb, he tried to supplant his brother. Y'all remember that story? Okay. Red cord and all that. And in his manhood, he strove with God. Y'all know what that is? He strove with the angel and prevailed.
When you
Jacob's
wrestle.
ladder.
Mhm.
He wept and sought his favor. He met him at Bethel, and there he spoke with him. Y'all remember that? I didn't write the reference down, but just shortly after that, that would be Jacob reconciling with us. So, the Lord, the God of hosts, but the Lord is his name. But as for you, every time you see Lord in capital letters like that, that is Yod-Heh-Vav. That's Yahweh or Jehovah. That's God's name. But as for you, return to your God, hold fast to love and justice, and wait continually for your God. A traitor in whose hands are false balances, he loves to oppress. Ephraim has said, I am rich, I have gained wealth for myself. In all of my gain, no offense has been found in me. That would be sin. They're seeing the wrong things here. I am the Lord your God from the land of Egypt. I will make you live in tents again, as in the days of the appointed festival. That means that you're going to have to make another journey. I spoke to the prophets. It was I who multiplied visions, and through the prophets I will bring destruction. In Gilead there is iniquity. They shall surely come to nothing. In Gilgal they sacrifice bulls, so their altars shall be like stone heaps on the furrows of the field. Jacob fled to the land of Aram. There Israel served for a wife, and for a wife he guarded sheep. Y'all remember that story? Leah and Rachel. Yeah. By a prophet, the Lord brought Israel up from Egypt, and by a prophet he was guarded. That prophet would be who? Moses. That's who they're talking about. So I know we don't often think of Moses as a prophet, but he's considered the greatest prophet in Judaism. So, with Elijah being a close second. Ephraim has given bitter offense, so his Lord will bring his crimes down on him, pay him back for his insults. When Ephraim spoke, there was trembling. He was exalted in Israel, but he incurred guilt through Baal and died. Now they keep on sinning and make a cast image for themselves, idols of silver made according to their understanding, all of them the work of artisans. Sacrifice to these, they say. People are kissing calves. Well, y'all can see I copy and paste with the pay there. Therefore, they shall be like the morning mist, or like the dew that goes away early, like chaff that swirls from the threshing floor, or like smoke from a wind. Yet I have been the Lord your God ever since the land of Egypt. You know no God but me, and besides me, there is no Savior. It was I who fed you in the wilderness, in the land of drought. When I fed them, they were satisfied. They were satisfied, and their heart was proud. Therefore, they forgot me. So I will become like a lion to them. Like a leopard, I will lurk beside the way. I will fall upon them like a bear robbed of her cubs, and will tear open the covering of their heart. There I will devour them like a lion, as a wild animal would mangle them. I will destroy you, O Israel. Who can help you? Where now is your king, that he may save you? That is in direct reference to the people of Israel calling for a king. We want to be like everybody else. So I gave you a king. Where's he now? Where in all your cities are your rulers, of whom you said, give me a king and ruler? I gave you a king in my anger, and I took him away in my wrath. Ephraim's iniquity is bound up. His sin is kept in store. The pangs of childbirth come for him, but he is an unwise son. For at the proper time, he does not present himself at the mouth of the womb. Shall I ransom them from the power of Sheol? Shall I redeem them from death? O death, where are your plagues? O Sheol, where is your destruction? Of course, we know that different phrase, don't we? Compassion is hidden from my eyes. Although he may flourish among rushes, the east wind shall come, a blast from the Lord, rising from the wilderness, and his fountain shall dry up. His spring shall be parched. It shall strip his treasury of every precious thing. So the east wind that they're searching after, this time won't bring salvation. It's going to bring destruction. That the east wind here is the analogous to us for Babylon, because Babylon is starting to make their presence known. Samaria shall bear her guilt because she has rebelled against their God. They shall fall by the sword. Their little ones shall be dashed in pieces, and their pregnant women ripped open. Yeah, and that, yeah. Well, you read about how Assyria works.
Assyria's
Yeah,
war machine.
they're brutal. Return, O Israel, to the Lord your God, for you have stumbled because of your iniquity. Take words with you and return to the Lord. Say to him, take away all guilt, accept that which is good, and we will offer the fruit of our lips. Assyria shall not save us. We will not ride upon horses. We will say no more, our God, to the work of our hands. In you, the orphan finds mercy. And so we end there. We'll pick up next week in Hosea 14, verse 4.
You were gonna talk about this.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, next week there is a lot going on, so I'm thinking seriously about canceling Sunday school, at least for us. I'll let the if y'all don't know, yeah, we started a young adult class in the hall. We've got several of them that have been here and intend on coming. So I know of two that showed up this morning. So anyway, so we're probably going to catch it next week. We just got too much going on. Men, we are responsible for all the stuff. I was planning on doing something for afterward, but we'll just carry over what we have left out there for afterward. So we're looking for kind of breakfast, like what is typical. But next week is back to school Sunday, or education Sunday, however you want to call it. And we have invited Instant Harris staff and any of their students that want to come. Of course, any students that we have here. We're going to be blessing teachers and students, things like that during the prayer time next weekend. But I plan on doing something afterward, but we've got a board meeting. So there's just a lot going on. So next week, so 2 weeks from now, that'll be the 17th. Assurance of forgiveness. Israel carried captive to Assyria, so we finally get there. Judgment on corrupt rulers, priests, prophets. Assyria resettles Samaria because remember they're conquering other nations, so they're going to move other conquered nations into the northern kingdom. So, which would end up becoming, at least part of, becoming what we know as Samaritans. And then the wickedness of Judah. So, all good in the south until next week or next time. Any questions, concerns, criticisms, complaints? No?
I'll let you go.
Okay. Well, y'all have a good week. Enjoy.